Hey folks, Killman here. Killman at your service. Hey folks, how you all doing? Hope you're all well. Just turn that down a wee bit. Have you all seen the Arnie's little skit to Stallone? Basically wishing him good luck with Rambo Last Blood. And he goes like this. He's got Rambo's knife and he's going in his best, but rather rubbish Crocodile Dundee accent. Got that a knife? Ha ha ha! This is a knife! And he wished him good luck with Rambo. Brilliant, brilliant. That is the knife, or machete from Predator. It's a bit too big to be called a knife, let's be honest. But there we go, there's the First Blood knife. You've all seen it. Here's the First Blood Part 2 knife. The mission knife. Bigger, meaner, stealth mode. And the big meaty bastard from Rambo 3. It's right here. Look at that, that is a wicked beauty, that, isn't it? Anyway, folks, we ain't here to discuss knives and blades. Bullets, fester, and blades. We're here to discuss Rambo Last Blood again, but in a lot more depth. This one is the spoiler review, folks. Spoilers! 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 You there! Spoilers! We don't want them! Get out! Now, I'm going to assume you've seen the film. Otherwise, why would you be watching a spoiler rife review? I've already reviewed the film as well, so I'm not going to go over old ground and just say the same things about the plot and all that and outline it. I'm going to assume you've seen it, and we're going to go in depth a little bit. We're going to cut deep with this. So once again, I'm going to turn down Brian Tyler's exciting score for Rambo Last Blood. I'm going to do a separate review of that score. I've been asked to do it, and I want to do it anyway. I like Brian Tyler's work. I like his carry-on from Jerry Goldsmith, but I also like the way he incorporated a new sense of rhythm and momentum in Rambo, the previous one, and then carried it over into this as well. Anyway, right. First of all, I love the movie. It is not the Rambo film that many expected. It's a radical departure in many ways because it's a character-driven piece. It's emotional, it's got sentiment, it's got heart. But it's also got a nasty, sinister edge to it as well. And a real proper big shock in it because, first of all, I'm going to dive right in. You know, his surrogate daughter, Gabrielle, goes south of the border to meet her biological father, who's a bastard, a grade A bastard. And he just tells her to fuck off, you know, wants nothing to do with it. And then she goes out, gets her drink spiked, ends up in the sex trade. Drugged up to hell, beaten, abused. Rambo goes in to rescue her. Fails the first time, goes back, does get her, and she fucking dies on him. I gotta be honest, I did not see that coming. In retrospect, it's fucking obvious that it had to happen, especially the way things transpire, to make you hate the villains all the more. And, you know, there's some terrible green screen stuff in this. You know, they did it with Angel Has Fallen as well. I know the Gerard Butler Has Fallen movies all suffer from terrible CGI. But green screen while you're driving a car down a highway, I was surprised they did it in Angel Has Fallen. Stunned, in fact. I'm even more surprised they did it in this. Because, you know, how hard can it be? You know, just mount a camera on the car, you know, and film in the car with the real landscape. You know, why add it in on green screen? I don't get it. And it looked fake and phony in this as well. I will expose a few niggles about this movie throughout the course of this spoiler rife review. But you know, I still love the movie. But you know, it is what it is. But yeah, Gabrielle will die in a really wonderful moment where you're getting to know, because up until this point, I really didn't understand the connections between the old girl, the old Mexican woman at the ranch, who obviously was the maid that looked after his dad. Then when his dad pops his clogs, you know, Rambo Senior, Rambo keeps her on and she lives there. And for 10 years, she's worked with Rambo, and Gabrielle is her granddaughter. There we go. Right. Manuel, who was the father of Gabrielle, was a friend, sort of Rambo's-ish, but then revealed his true colours in Rambo. Anyway, they ain't friends now, put it that way. Gabrielle is not a good man. People change. You changed. I didn't change. I just put a lid on it. And we'll discuss that even more as well. But she dies. He gives a rather moving soliloquy about why he left, why he came back, what his new family meant to him, why he'd stop at nothing to defend Gabrielle. And, you know, she's going to be okay. They're going to get you back and they're going to take care of you. Nothing's going to hurt you again. And she dies. Ah, shit, man. I genuinely... Oh, fuck. Didn't think you were going to go that far. I was stunned in a way, and also in a way relieved at the realism of the fact that, unlike, you know, Brian's daughter in Taken, Liam Neeson's daughter, she doesn't actually get raped in that. He manages to get her back before that actually really fucking happens. But this girl has been massively abused. She's had the V carved on her face from Victor Martinez, who's one of the two brothers. Hugo and Victor. Victor Hugo? Didn't Victor Hugo write Quasimodo? Is there something going on there? For whom the bell tolls? I don't know. There's got to be something in that though. But Victor is famous. He will leave his mark on people, and he does it on Gabrielle as well. And you kind of like, oh shit, they really aren't pulling any punches here, are they? You don't see it happen, but it's bad enough. You do see them carve it into Stallone's cheek though. Make it deep, he says, like, oh fucking hell, you know. And then he's crudely stitched up afterwards by, is it Paz Vega, who was the journalist, Mexican journalist, whose sister also fell afoul of this drug cartel and sex trade cartel. And she wants revenge on them too. Only her revenge would be like trying to, you know, drop them in the shit and get them arrested. But no, Rambo just wants to eviscerate them and dismember them. I know whose side I'm on. So, well, if you've got one, get yourself a whiskey. Or a tequila, because we're in that neck of the woods. And so she dies, and it's like, Jesus Christ. So now, of course, that just makes it, he's now got to get revenge. Quite clearly, he wasn't at that stage. He was just going to get her back, look after her, and try and put that whole nasty business behind him. But now, the film's about him trying to come to terms with who he is. It's always been about that, you know, peace in his life. He's come back, he's almost had peace in his life. He's had 10 years of pretty good time, really. He's gone back to basics. He's with his horses. He's got his surrogate family. He's a happy boy. Well, as happy as Rambo could ever be. But it's all been robbed away from him. When he goes back and I think it's Maria, who's the grandmother. Of course, he has to break the bad news to her. And she goes, well, I'm leaving. And he goes, yeah, go back to your sister. You know, stay with her. There's nothing for you here now. And she goes, what are you going to do? And this is the beginning of the third act of the movie. What are you going to do? And he says, I'm just going to drift around like I always did. So you kind of know, like, this is what's going to happen. Can you hear that in the background? Rambo's little theme. Forlorn. Stately, in fact. And very militaristic as well. So he's got to ride off into the sunset, which he does do, in fact. So I know I'm going around this in a really sort of circuitous sort of manner, but I'm escaping, evading through it. You see, the two bad guys, right, and their drug cartel, right? Yeah, they've got no character. Now, I know for a fact the scenes cut out of this movie, and judging by from what I've heard, quite a few scenes, quite crucial scenes too. One of which, there's lots of famous shots of Stallone in like a duster jacket, Stetson on, horseback at night in the pissing down rain, and different shots from that sequence. What's that about? Well, I'll tell you what it's about. A raging storm. This will be earlier in the movie, obviously. A raging storm, and he comes across three hikers who are in dire straits. I'm not quite sure. Are they fallen down a mountainside? I don't quite know. But Rambo will effect the rescue, and he will rescue one, but two will die. And this is going to reopen like the wounds of, like, you know, his old teammates, you know, who died in Nam. And the ghosts won't leave him alone. So, you know, but that scene's been cut out. That will definitely be reinstated. I'll stake my fucking life on this, that Lionsgate will put out an extended cut of this on home video, and that scene will be in there. But the other bit I was coming to was, you don't really get much character to the two main bad guys. Yes, they're obviously bad, but the main one, which is Hugo, the one who will really come after Rambo. Hugo is the one really in charge of the whole business. you don't really see him do anything. I've heard there is a beheading sequence, which he is the one doing the beheading. So, it's unsubstantiated this, but I do kind of see that this could happen, because there's got to be more to making him a real badass. There's threats and all sorts of the girls in the in the bordello who are going to be, raped 50 to 100 times, a day. Just get used to it, If you try and run away, I'll find you and I'll kill you, and all this kind of stuff. And a girl has been beaten who's trying to escape. But I think you're going to see something where a rival gang maybe, or someone, he's making an example of someone. You should have killed Rambo when you had the chance, and he's going to fucking take his head off, like something like that. You've also got the sequence where Rambo goes in first time. He's meant to be an expert in guerrilla warfare. He was a bit of a Snake Plissken. He just fucking brazenly walks into the club where Gabrielle was originally had her drink spiked and was obviously abducted from. And he's got her mate Giselle, she's kind of set her up really. She's a bitch. And Rambo goes to see her, and she said, she was in a bad way after her father telling her to go. So I just took her for a few drinks, and then I lost her, and I assumed she went. But she's wearing the bracelet that Gabrielle's mother wore, which was then given to Gabrielle. So Rambo sees that, comes out with his fucking big knife. Did you get this? All this. You take me to where she was. You take me to that bar. So he goes in there and he sticks out like a fucking sore thumb. He's a fucking gringo. And he's in a big M65 combat jacket. And the fucking size of him as well. Doesn't get a drink. He just stands, against the wall and just surveys. But he sees the guy. Right, you're the one. And he waits and waits. Follows him out. And this guy's got a fucking, some sleazy slut bag. Rambo makes her go. Bangs him, knifes him. And this is the bit I was alluding to in the previous video, in the non-spoiler review. He stabs him here, and he breaks his collarbone, and his collarbone sticks out, and Rambo's fucking pulling it and tweaking it, and the blood's coming out. And the guy's, and the audience are going, talk, or I'll take this out. It's fucking brutal. So this guy obviously gives him the lowdown on where this cartel's stronghold is, Victor and Hugo's base of operations. So he takes him there, and then in the car, it's a great shot, and he's like, yeah, up there. And Rambo goes, fuck off. Now, I've got a feeling this could be the guy with his head cut off, because he's given away the stronghold address. Rambo then goes in there, but gets seen, and of course, these places are so highly defended. Everybody in that vicinity is working for the cartel. Everybody. So they're all on mobiles. And next thing, Rambo's surrounded. You've seen it in the trailer. You've seen it in the film, because you're watching this because you've seen the fucking film. Rambo gets their shit kicked out of him. And in a great little moment, he's on the deck. And, there are ways of doing your best to survive a beating by a gang, which we won't go into right now. Rambo does make a valiant effort to try and get up again, and he picks one up and fucking dives down with him. But in the end, he's an old guy, and you see him in his fucking face. It looks like Rocky has gone 400 rounds with Clubber Lang and Ivan Drago. His face is fucking done in, and they put the V into his face and all that. And obviously, they've got the picture of Gabrielle, and they've got his ID as well, so they know who he is. What's the connection and all that? You came here for her. Well, you know what? You're not going to get her. And Hugo's horrible speech is these girls mean nothing to us. They're nothing. They're just meat. That's all they are to us. They're nothing. They mean nothing. Except now, she does. She means something to me because it means something to you. So we're not going to kill you. But every day until the day you die, you're going to remember this. What we're going to do to her every day. It's fucking horrendous. But Paz Vega, the journalist, she was watching all this, and she manages to come in at the end and drag him off to safety, and he gets stitched up and all that. 4 days spent recuperating on a couch. He's concussed. Bright lights and noise may affect him. Fucking hell, he's been fighting in explosions and machine gun fire all his fucking life. As if it's going to bother him now, So then, of course, he has to... The old boy sequence with a claw hammer. He goes to the place where, and he's quite lucky here. It's basically where he gets to the bordello where she is, and she's drugged up, and like, you know, her arms are just stippled with craters from, you know, hypos and all that. Face is fucked in, and she's ravaged, and it's really horrible because the girl who plays Gabrielle, whose name I have since forgotten, she gives a great performance. It's moving. Their interaction, their chemistry together in the early stage of the movie are really affecting. So he fucking basically kills every male in the establishment with a claw hammer. One gets the fucking claws in his crotch. Yeah, take that fucking nail out. Whoa, you know. And he's twatting them over the head and all that with it. But he says to each girl in each room, like, go, leave now. And they're like, no, they'll find me and kill me. And he's like, fucking hell, you know, I'm trying to save you all. Finds Gabrielle, brings her out, takes her home, and of course, she dies en route. Duh. Right, revenge. Cue the sequence, the first montage of him doing all this, you know, his paraphernalia, his traps, which are extraordinary, exquisite, and incredibly brutal. And then he needs a reason to bring them up here. He knows that they know where he lives. They've got his fucking ID and all that. So, but he needs to give a real fucking big reason. So he drives back over the border. Trump will have a field day with this. People are going over the border, back and forth, you know, not using the border control, apart from the opening scenes where she first goes down there, blah, 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 blah. And so he goes down there, hits the stronghold again. This time he knows what he's doing. So he manages to take out the guards, fucking knifes him up, something chronic. Gets into where Victor is, but Victor's in the shower. You don't see what happens. The next day, there's all federales who are all corrupt, aren't they? And all the cartel are there with their fucking, you know, submachine guns and assault rifles, just brazenly on the street. And obviously there's been a massacre there. Hugo arrives, and he's fucking angry. So they go into the room where Victor was, and Victor is like lying there strapped to the bed. He looks like he's being gutted. But the most important thing is his fucking head is missing. And there is a picture of Gabrielle there, fucking pinned with a knife into his torso. So like, Hugo knows, fucking hell. But when you see that his head's gone, it's just a throwaway, stupid sequence really, because Rambo wouldn't do this, I don't think. You just see Rambo's fucking pickup bouncing down the highway, and a hand comes out the side window with a severed head in it and drops it to bounce across the fucking highway. Obviously it's Victor's head. I think, really speaking, Rambo would have mounted the head somewhere, you know, and maybe put the other picture with a fucking, you know, knife through the forehead. I don't think, because the brother's not going to see that head, you know. I don't know. It's not what I would have done. But obviously, they all tool up. You get the next sequence of Rambo preparing even more of his traps. Bullets in the floor, sharpened stake pits, explosives, claymores strapped into the walls of his tunnel system. His tunnel system, by the way, right, hang on, I pick it up and then put it down, I'm not drinking it. What a fool. The tunnel sequence, the tunnels network underneath the ranch, that isn't just, you know, to make this elaborate climax. That is Rambo's psyche. His tortured mind lives down there. When he says to Gabrielle, I didn't change, I just put a lid on it. He's down there. Rambo's psyche is underground. The lid is the ground above it. It's a labyrinth. He's the minotaur that lives down there and brings in his victims and takes them all out. But the opening scenes, you know, you see all the paraphernalia, the weapons on the wall, all the photos of a young Rambo going through high school, learning how to, you know, pictures of him like firing a bow and arrow, being trained, pictures of him in Nam. And you have also these little grainy black and white newsreel footage of real stuff in Vietnam. Flamethrowers, bodies, people shooting into a forerunner. They're shooting into the tunnel system, the Cu Chi or Su Chi tunnel system, and they're shooting into these fucking, you know, pits. And so you kind of getting a foretelling of what's coming up. But that's him down there. When he's down there, ironically, he's at peace down there because he's with the ghosts of his past. He's with the ghosts of who he really is. But that's where he makes his knives, you know, he builds his stuff, you know. And it's a vast warren of a complex of tunnels. And when he goes up, you know, up topside, then has a great big breakfast and rides his horses. That's the fake side of it. And this film will do that because after all this, the 10 years of supposed, you know, calming down and family, quite clearly Rambo is not permitted to have that sort of peace. So, you know, Down there is where Rambo really resides. That's a visual depiction of his brain, his inner workings, his emotions, and the torture. He hears the voices down there, of his comrades and all that. And but the traps, oh man, the traps. It's funny because, having learned a bit about booby traps and been shown and trained to do a few very, very, very simple versions, tripwires and snares more than anything else really. But you've got to remember where you put the fucking things, And although in First Blood it kind of makes sense, he's leading them into various traps. He knows where they are, and there's only a handful of them. In this, there's fucking dozens of them. Jesus Christ, And he's getting shot at. He's running down, fucking tunnels. He could turn the wrong corner and go straight into his own fucking trap. It's just, you've got to really fucking think when how you've done these things. And there's like little holes in the walls where they'll look through that, and a fucking steel spike goes whoosh, right through the guy's head, through his skull. And then Rambo, there's like little channels cut so Rambo can lie down and machete off someone's leg just below the knee, and then fucking blow him away. In his shotgun casings, he puts magnesium shards. So these guys get blown to fucking buggery. Heads are going off and all sorts like. But as I said in the previous thing, okay, I said I wasn't going to go over stuff, but this is a complaint really. He's in such a rage-filled combat mode. The guys who fall into the pit full of spikes and they're all like twisted up like that, he will then stand above them with an M16 and just pepper them. Why? Let them ride in agony. Don't put them out the misery. When they first get there in their armoured convoy, Rambo has set up a fire trap, a fire pit, and also landmines. So the first truck goes up, gets blown over, and then the fire pit erupts into a wall of flame. You've only took out one vehicle. With all that elaborate flames and explosives, you took out one vehicle. The rest just go through the gap and then spill out. Okay, yeah, you want to take them all out individually if you can. He's got another fire trap by the barn, which when he shoots that, they're engulfed in flames. But then while they're like, whoa, in flames, he shoots them dead. Do you remember in Saving Private Ryan, the Omaha beach landing? They're getting shot to buggery, and when they finally get up the beach and they manage to flamethrower it into the bunkers, and the Germans spill out on fire, and like one of the GIs goes like, "Don't shoot, let them burn, because they've been through hell, let them burn." Why doesn't Rambo do that? Don't waste your ammunition on guys who are going to die. And he does it a lot. There's guys impaled on stuff, and then he just blow the heads off them. Why? Let them die in agony. And it's all too elaborate so that in the end, he announces over the sound system, over the tannoy he's got down there. Hugo's the only one who's left. He's killed everybody else. They're all dead. I could have killed you a dozen of times, but I left you alive. If you want to live, follow the lights. And then and the whole complex, and that's not a bad effect actually, the whole complex blows up. He's destroyed everything. Symbolically, what's that saying? If that's his mind down there, he's lost his mind. He's blown his mind. But he wants, Hugo to get up top and into the barn where you've seen him training with his bow and arrow. Crack shot, marksman. And so he pins Hugo to the barn door. Is there one in the nads as well? Actually, I'm not too sure. I thought one went to his crotch. Could be wrong about that though. And then Rambo's been shot twice at this stage. And in the leg, and one's gone through his shoulder. And Rambo pulls out the Heartstopper, which is the new knife, which is criminally underused. In fact, I was a bit surprised by that. At the big ballyhoo of Dietmar Pohl doing the knives for this, and the huge stuff about the original knives. It's kind of a bit strange that it's underused. Maybe in the full extended cut you do see it more. Maybe it plays a part in that botched hiker rescue during the big storm. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. But he walks up and he's like, "I'm going to tear you apart. You ripped the heart out of me. No, you're going to know how it feels." And cuts into him and he fucking pulls the guy's heart out. Heart's still attached, a bit of gubbins there. And Hugo's still alive, like, and he's like, and he sees his heart in front of him, and yet you hear it, bum bum, bum bum, and then snuffs it. I would have liked him to have shoved it in his mouth, you know. Maybe that's just me, but I think the previous Rambo movie, the one in Burma, was infinitely nastier than this. And no, this film is nasty, but you saw the bad guys in that, the Burmese military, the junta, committing, well, almost genocide. They're torturing people, they're feeding them to pigs, they're sending them across minefields, they're committing massacres all the time, they're killing women and kids. It's an absolute butchery bloodfest. And I mean, this, with the Mexicans and the drug cartels and the evil things that they do to each other, about, you know, acid baths. Rambo gets threatened with an acid bath. He doesn't get it because, you know, Hugo wants him to live, you know, and suffer day by day. But so I think, you know, that rumour about the beheadings, that you're going to get that. I think that is in there somewhere, or at least it should be, because you really don't have, what they do is bad enough, but they haven't done enough deeds on screen to warrant the way that they all meet these grisly ends. And plus, most of them, apart from the guy with the mohawk, I swear to God, he was in, oh God, what's it called? Mel Gibson's one. Oh shit. Set in like South America. Oh shit, what's it called? You know the one I mean. It's all native language. Oh fuck, I forgot what it's called. That's risky for you, folks. He gets his leg fucking sliced off and all that. But yeah, I think there's a much harder cut of this movie, just waiting in the wings, and a much deeper cut, shall we say. So there's a few gripes to it. Now, at the end of the movie, he's killed everyone, he's wounded. He goes up and he sits on the rocking chair. Now, the rocking chair, there's an extra sequence of the rocking chair as well in the full version. And that's where there's more poignancy, because that's where his dad used to sit. That's fucking obvious, I know. That's where his dad used to sit, and obviously Rambo as a kid used to listen to his stories or learn from his dad, you know, on this creaky rocking chair. They made Dave the Blade, sitting next to me. He goes, "That's a stealth rocking chair." I said, "It can't be. You can hear it creaking, you know." It'd be silent otherwise, wouldn't it? And so there's more to that as well. There's a longer film, certainly. What I didn't get from it, and I wanted and I really expected, was Rambo's, you know, is in his Native American background. He's half Native American. He's part Navajo. His mother was a Navajo Indian. And you do see a picture of him, the young, you know, Rambo, being taught the bow and arrow by a guy who's clearly, you know, Native American. So I would have liked to see him scalping people. And the bow and arrow don't get used much. They're heavily prevalent in the trailers, but you only see him doing his practice shots into the air, the playing cards, and then when he quills Hugo, that's it. You don't see any more. Also, clearly Rambo is left-handed now. Stallone apparently is left-handed, although I think he's ambidextrous, you know. But in most of the movies, he's using weapons. He's firing for his right hand. You know, he's right-handed in most stuff. I know Rocky's a southpaw and all that, but you clearly see him a lot where he pops up with what looks like a Winchester, or is it Remington, at the trapdoor, you know, and he's clearly fucking shooting left-handed. And he's firing the bow and arrow left-handed too. So it's dead obvious. No one seems to have picked up on this though, which is weird. But overall, I think this is a great little send-off. So you've got that montage at the end as well, where it shows those sepia patinaed imagery of First Blood Part 2, Rambo 3, Rambo itself, and then a sort of recap of high points from this movie as a sort of like chapterizing of his life in cinema. And it's lovely. Don't leave the cinema at that point, because there's another shot of him riding off on the horse. In a star-spangled rodeo, you know, and some people have been surmising he's dead. That's him riding off into, you know, heaven. No, it isn't. It's the typical cowboy ending. He's had his battle and is riding off into the sunset with further adventures awaiting him, like any, you know, White Stetson cowboy, the good guy. And symbolically, that is, he's already said to, I think it's Maria, the grandmother, he's already said to her that I'm going to drift around like always. That's where he's going to go back to. He knows he can't have a home life. He knows he can't exist like that. So I think that's what's going on there. He literally is just riding off into the sunset. It's not some sort of symbolic. He's gone off to fucking heaven or whatever. Wherever Maximus went. The afterlife. It's not like that at all. He literally is riding off into more adventures. So in other words, you could have another Rambo movie. Yes, you most certainly could. This one is a short, sharp shock. It's very lean, it's very character driven, even though the only characters you get really are Rambo and Gabrielle. Gabrielle is killed off, but Rambo, you explore his emotional psyche. He has more dialogue in the first 5 minutes of this movie than in all the others put together. So he's a talkative Rambo, he's a reflective Rambo, and it works. I know the film isn't an action adventure, it's not like the other ones in that respect. It's a cut and thrust, lean, mean thriller. It's a hard-hitting thriller. It's Adrian Grunberg who directed it. The only film I know he's done before was Get the Gringo with Mel Gibson, which is brilliant, by the way. Or How I Spent My Summer Vacation. And it's brilliant. But I don't really think that he was the best guy for this particular, job. I think Stallone would have made a much better film. I like the film as it is, and I long for an extended cut of it, which I do think we're going to get. To give it a bit more action, there's not a lot of action in it. I kept alluding to Taken. It is Taken. Everyone goes, it's Home Alone. Well, no, it's more fucking Taken than anything else. But it's Rambo/Taken. It's his version. And it's mean, it's brutal, it's bloody. It's exciting, and it's energizing. It's not a rip-roaring, adventure like First Blood Part 2, or even First Blood, which has its downbeat ending. First Blood Part 2 has a sort of downbeat ending, there's more men out there. Find them, or I'll find you. But John, how will you live? Day by day. And it walks off into the sunset. And in Rambo 3, him and Troutman drive off into the sunset. But yeah, so he's got many, many more of these movies in him. I don't think we should wait another almost 10 years for another Rambo installment if we're going to get it. If this is the final send-off, yeah, I long for an extended cut just to put more meat on its bones. But it's still a great way to say sayonara to a trusted and, much cherished action hero character who's enthralled many of us for decades, and continues to do so. Sly, I love you, man. I do. I genuinely do. I think you're a world-class superstar. Anyway, that was my spoiler-riddled review of Rambo Last Blood. Folks, I presume you've seen it. If you've stuck this far, you've fucking seen the movie. Or you're going to feel like you've seen it after all this. There's probably much more I could say. The underwritten woman journalist, yeah, there's not much there. She's just there to get him out of the shit and to point him in the right directions. That's all it is, But hey,